Your environment is not just where you live or work. It's a constant stream of sensory input shaping your brain in real time. The light filtering through your window, the temperature in your room, the scent in the air, and even the presence or absence of natural elements like plants or water. All of these are signals that your nervous system decodes and uses to regulate your alertness, emotional state, and cognitive performance. This is not metaphorical, it's biological. The human brain evolved in constant interaction with the natural world. Sunlight regulated our sleep-wake cycles, forest sounds triggered our attention to threats or opportunities, and the smell of soil or rainfall marked environmental changes that mattered to our survival. Fast forward to today, one of the most powerful tools we have to restore focus and mental clarity is light, specifically early morning natural sunlight. When light enters your eyes in the first hours after waking, it triggers a cascade of neural and hormonal signals that increase dopamine and cortisol at optimal levels. These two chemicals are not stressors in this context. They are drivers of alertness, motivation, and goal-directed behavior. The retina sends a signal to your brain's master clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus SCN, which tells every other system in your body, from your digestive tract to your immune cells, what time it is. When this system is tuned properly, your focus during the day increases, your metabolism works efficiently, and your sleep deepens at night. But when you miss morning light, whether by waking up late or spending your mornings indoors, the SCN can. Now, beyond light, there's a second environmental element that plays a massive role in cognition and emotional regulation: nature exposure. Numerous studies now show that people who spend just 20 minutes per day in a green or blue space, like a park, forest, or body of water, experience reduced activity in the brain's default mode network. This network is responsible for self-referential thinking and mind wandering, and while it's useful for reflection and creativity, overactivation leads to rumination and anxiety. Nature quiets this network, giving your mind space to rest and recover. At the same time, it enhances prefrontal cortex activity, which is the seat of attention, planning, and executive function. Nature quite literally reorganizes your brain's activity to promote calm, clarity, and control. Even indoor environments can be optimized for better cognition. A cluttered workspace bombards your visual system with excess stimuli, increasing mental fatigue and reducing your ability to maintain attention. But small environmental shifts, like having a plant nearby, using cool white lighting during work hours, and keeping your desk visually clean, can dramatically improve mental energy and task performance. It's not about designing a perfect aesthetic, it's about aligning your space with your biology. Every cue your brain receives from your environment is a vote for either stress or clarity, for distraction or focus. So if you want to sharpen your mind, elevate your mood, and regain control of your attention, don't just look inward, look around. Your surroundings might be the most overlooked variable in your mental and physical health. Changing them doesn't require a major life shift. It requires awareness, intention, and consistency. The brain thrives in the right environment. Build that environment, and your brain and life will follow. Your physical environment is the hidden force behind your daily energy, attention span, and emotional stability. What surrounds you isn't passive background, it's a series of cues that your brain processes constantly. These cues, often unnoticed, influence your neurochemistry, your hormones, your immune function, and even your memory. Whether it's the light streaming through a window, the temperature of the room you're sitting in, or the sounds you hear while working, your brain is continuously reacting, adapting, and recalibrating based on what your senses are detecting. Take light, for instance. Early in the morning, exposure to natural sunlight has a profound biological effect. Light enters your eyes and hits a specific group of cells in the retina called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells that are not involved in vision but instead communicate directly with your brain's internal clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This light exposure triggers the timed release of cortisol, not in the way most people fear, but in a very healthy, beneficial form that primes you for alertness, mental clarity, and motivation. It also begins a countdown to the release of melatonin later that night, ensuring quality sleep. This sequence is crucial because the brain's ability to focus, plan, and regulate emotion is deeply tied to the regularity and quality of your sleep-wake cycle. When that light exposure doesn't happen, when people stay indoors in dim lighting, look at screens first thing in the morning, or wake up too late, this neural timing system begins to drift. That drifting desynchronizes the entire circadian rhythm, which can show up as anxiety, low energy, poor focus, irritability, and even physical pain. So if you're someone looking to reclaim your concentration or lift your mood, you have to ask, how am I starting my day? Have I gotten natural light in my eyes early enough to set my brain into gear? A 5 to 10 minute walk outdoors in the morning, even on overcast days, can radically shift your neurochemistry toward clarity and drive. No medication needed, just sunlight. But light is only one part of the environmental equation. Temperature, airflow, noise, and even color influence how your brain processes the world. Cooler environments with slight airflow tend to boost alertness and working memory, while warm, stuffy rooms often increase fatigue. Colors like blue and green are not only aesthetically calming, but have been shown to support prefrontal cortex function, which is central to executive decision-making and goal pursuit. Meanwhile, chaotic or cluttered spaces increase sensory load, fragment your attention, and raise baseline levels of cortisol. Your environment is constantly negotiating with your brain for energy, either giving it back or draining it. In parallel to indoor settings, there is another environment with almost unmatched power to reset your nervous system and upgrade your cognitive function: nature. Natural environments are not just peaceful, they are profoundly neurorestorative. A 20-minute immersion in a green space, whether a forest trail, a riverside walk, or a quiet garden, has been shown to reduce activity in the amygdala, the brain's threat detection system. This calms the body, slows the heart rate, and leads to lower cortisol levels. At the same time, the brain's attention networks, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, become more active. Your ability to stay focused, resist distractions, and engage in complex thinking improves without requiring additional effort. Nature's effect is not only psychological, it's physiological. It improves heart rate variability, an important measure of nervous system balance. It supports immune system regulation through reduced inflammation markers, and it fosters the release of serotonin and dopamine, key neurotransmitters for emotional balance and motivation. What's fascinating is that this benefit isn't just from extreme wilderness immersion. Even brief exposure to urban green spaces like a city park or tree-lined street has a similar effect. The visual complexity, natural symmetry, and quiet unpredictability of nature entrain the brain into a relaxed, attentive state that modern architecture and artificial environments rarely match. If you want to feel more energized, focused, and emotionally grounded, don't just look to supplements or productivity tools. Look at your environment. Are you giving your nervous system the space and inputs it needs to thrive? Build your day around the rhythms of light, the clarity of space, and the power of nature. Your brain will respond, not just with better focus, but with clarity, creativity, and calm. We often think of focus and productivity as personal traits, something we need to dig out from within through discipline or motivation. But science tells a different story. Your ability to concentrate, learn, and perform is highly dependent on something that's often overlooked: your physical environment, the light in your room, the view outside your window, the sounds around you, even the presence of natural elements like plants or flowing water. These factors directly influence your brain's neurochemistry. Your sensory systems, especially vision and hearing, are constantly feeding information to the brain, telling it whether the world is safe, stressful, interesting, or overwhelming. This information shapes what brain areas become active and how alert or calm you feel. So, the most powerful way to align your environment with your brain is by understanding light. Early morning exposure to natural light, especially within the first hour of waking, sends a critical signal to the master clock in your brain's hypothalamus. This clock controls the timing of all your bodily systems: your sleep, digestion, hormone release, and even your immune function. When you get outside light in your eyes without sunglasses or windows blocking it, specialized cells in your retina send a signal to this clock. That signal does two things. It increases daytime alertness by boosting dopamine and cortisol at healthy levels, and it starts a countdown toward the release of melatonin in the evening. Even once your circadian rhythm is aligned, what surrounds you in your workspace or home plays a powerful role in how well you can think. The brain is highly sensitive to sensory overload. Cluttered spaces, noisy environments, dim or overly artificial lighting, and stale air all activate stress responses. They signal that something might be off or unsafe, which raises cortisol levels and increases mental fatigue. Over time, this kind of sensory friction reduces your working memory, slows your reaction time, and makes it harder to resist distractions. But when you optimize your surroundings for clarity and comfort, the opposite happens. Studies show that even small environmental tweaks, such as adding natural light, opening a window for fresh air, reducing background noise, and organizing your desk, can dramatically improve cognitive performance. Your prefrontal cortex. The third, often underestimated environmental tool for upgrading your mental and physical health is nature exposure. Your brain evolved in nature, not in office buildings or apartments. The sounds of birds, the feel of a breeze, the sight of trees and water, all these elements activate what's known as soft fascination. Unlike scrolling through a screen or sitting under fluorescent lights, nature draws your attention without demanding it. This allows your cognitive systems to rest and recover while still being gently engaged. The result is a reduction in activity in the brain's default mode network, which is associated with rumination and overthinking, and an increase in activity in the executive control networks that govern clarity, focus, and willpower. Just 20 minutes in a natural setting can lower your heart rate, reduce your cortisol levels, and increase your ability to concentrate when you return to work or study. This effect is not limited to remote hiking trails. Even a walk in an urban park or tending to plants on your balcony. Your environment is always speaking to your brain. It may not use words, but through light, temperature, sounds, smells, and visual patterns, it shapes your thoughts, mood, and behaviors on a neural level. Most people are unaware of how deeply their surroundings are impacting them until they step outside into nature and suddenly feel their stress ease, or until they rearrange a cluttered room and find their mind feels less chaotic. These shifts are not coincidences. They're the result of how your sensory systems interface with your brain's decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation centers. The truth is, your environment can either work against your biology or with it. When it works with you, you gain access to deeper concentration, elevated energy, and greater emotional clarity. Light is one of the most powerful forces shaping your brain's internal rhythms. From the moment light enters your eyes, it signals the brain to adjust hormonal levels and mental alertness. Early morning sunlight in particular triggers the release of cortisol in a way that promotes energy, not stress. This early light also initiates the dopamine pathway, increasing motivation and the drive to take action. Additionally, this light exposure starts a roughly 14-16 hour countdown that ends in the natural release of melatonin, your sleep hormone. When this pattern repeats daily, your brain and body operate on a consistent rhythm. Focus becomes easier, sleep improves, mood stabilizes. However, missing this signal throws your system out of sync. That's why waking up and spending the first few hours under artificial light or staying inside all day leads to grogginess. Equally important is the design of the space where you spend most of your waking hours. The structure, color, and order of your environment communicate to your brain whether you're in a safe and stable place or in one that requires heightened vigilance. Clutter, mess, harsh lighting, and background noise increase what's known as cognitive load. Your brain has to work harder to filter out distractions, which leaves fewer mental resources for creative or focused thinking. In contrast, minimalist spaces with good airflow, natural light, and calming colors support the function of the prefrontal cortex, your executive control center. This is the part of the brain responsible for planning, working memory, and impulse control. When your surroundings reduce stress and visual chaos, this system lights up with activity. What that means practically is this: clearing your desk. While indoor adjustments are crucial, there's a distinct power in nature that no indoor environment can fully replicate. Nature provides what's called soft fascination. Unlike digital media, which hijacks your attention, natural environments gently pull your focus in without overstimulating it. This activates a relaxation response in the nervous system while keeping the mind engaged. Brain scans show that people in natural environments have lower activity in the amygdala, the area responsible for processing fear and stress, and higher activity in areas linked to memory, empathy, and attention control. What's even more remarkable is how quickly these changes occur. Within just 20 minutes of walking in a park or sitting by a body of water, cortisol levels drop. Finally, the environments we choose in the evening hours matter just as much. Your brain begins preparing for sleep long before your head hits the pillow. Bright overhead lights, loud noise, and chaotic visuals all send conflicting signals to the brain, making it harder to transition into a parasympathetic rest and digest state. A healthy nighttime environment uses dim, warm light, think lamps or candles instead of ceiling lights. It's also quiet or filled with soft ambient sounds. Visual clutter should be minimized, especially in the bedroom. These choices help lower cortisol and increase melatonin naturally, leading to deeper and more restorative sleep. When your sleep improves, your memory, focus, and emotional resilience all improve in kind. So by modifying the spaces you live, work, and rest in, even in small, consistent ways, you are choosing to align your external world with your internal biology. And when those two come into alignment, mental clarity, motivation, and peace are no longer rare experiences, they become your new baseline. Your brain is not isolated from your surroundings. Every second, it interprets the sights, sounds, smells, and even spatial arrangements of your environment. These sensory inputs influence your neural circuits, hormone levels, and the activity of systems responsible for focus, motivation, and emotional stability. Most people underestimate how powerfully their environment affects their internal state. They try to power through brain fog or distraction without realizing their external conditions might be the very thing causing the friction. What you see, hear, and feel externally is processed by your nervous system internally. And if those inputs are misaligned with what your biology needs, your brain won't perform at its best. Fortunately, once you understand how to work with these environmental levers, you can start designing your life in a way that supports energy, clarity, and resilience. One of the most influential environmental inputs on brain function is light, especially natural light. Your eyes are not just for seeing objects, they are also powerful sensors that set your internal clock. Early in the morning, exposure to natural sunlight, specifically within the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking, triggers a healthy rise in cortisol and dopamine. This isn't the damaging kind of cortisol associated with stress. It's a beneficial release that promotes alertness, focus, and mood regulation. At the same time, this light exposure begins the countdown to melatonin release later that evening, ensuring you wind down and sleep well at the right time. When this rhythm becomes consistent, your focus improves during the day, your energy stays stable, and your sleep becomes deeper and more restorative. However, when you miss this morning light, your circadian rhythm shifts out of alignment, leading to poor focus, low mood, and delayed or shallow sleep. It's not enough to turn on bright lights indoors. You need the broad spectrum and intensity of outdoor light, even on cloudy days, to send the right message to your brain. Equally important is the design of the spaces where you live and work. Your brain craves order and predictability. When you walk into a cluttered, noisy, dimly lit room, your visual and auditory systems immediately begin filtering distractions. This uses up valuable working memory and cognitive resources before you've even started your task. It increases background stress signals in the brain and weakens your ability to hold focus. On the other hand, clean, well-organized spaces with intentional lighting and minimal sensory clutter help your brain conserve energy. You become less reactive and more deliberate. Research shows that even a few small changes, like opening windows for fresh air, removing unnecessary items from your desk, using warm, indirect lighting, and having a plant in the room, can significantly enhance cognitive performance and reduce mental fatigue. These changes aren't just aesthetic. They create the conditions where your nervous system can downshift from threat detection mode into a state of open, sustained attention. And then there's nature. The human brain evolved in outdoor environments, not cubicles or concrete structures. In nature, your attention is drawn outward in a soft, non-demanding way, what scientists call soft fascination. This gentle engagement allows your directed attention system to rest and recover, which is why even short walks in green spaces make people feel mentally refreshed. At the same time, the brain's stress circuitry, especially the amygdala, begins to quiet down. Heart rate slows, breathing becomes deeper, inflammatory markers drop. Meanwhile, the executive control networks involved in self-regulation and problem solving become more active. All this can happen within 20 minutes of being in nature. Whether it's a hike in the woods or just sitting by a pond, the benefits are profound. Even small, consistent exposure to nature daily or several times a week can help protect against burnout, improve memory, and elevate your baseline mood. Beyond what you see and where you are, sound plays a hidden but powerful role in your focus and cognition. Constant background noise, especially unpredictable or chaotic sounds, activates your brain's vigilance system. It's as if your subconscious is always on edge, scanning for threats. This keeps cortisol slightly elevated and makes it harder to enter deep work states. On the other hand, rhythmic natural sounds like ocean waves, rain, or birdsong have a calming effect on the nervous system. They help synchronize brainwave activity into alpha or low beta frequencies, which are ideal for creativity and problem solving. Many people find that using natural ambient sounds during work not only improves their concentration, but also reduces the mental fatigue that often comes with high effort cognitive tasks. Silence can also be powerful. Strategic quiet moments throughout the day give the brain time to integrate and reset, improving both performance and emotional regulation. Lastly, consider the environment you build around rest and recovery. The brain doesn't just need stimulation and input, it needs time and space to process, integrate, and repair. A chaotic bedroom filled with screens, bright lights, and clutter tells the brain to stay alert, not to relax. But when you dim the lights, reduce visual clutter, lower noise levels, and create a consistent nighttime routine, your nervous system receives a clear signal that it's safe to enter parasympathetic mode, the calm state required for deep sleep and cellular repair. When your sleep improves, so does your memory, consolidation, mood regulation, and decision-making capacity. So many people struggle with focus and energy during the day, not because of what they're doing wrong in the morning, but because their nighttime environment is undermining the quality of their rest. Optimizing this final stage of your environment ensures that everything else, light, focus, energy, motivation, falls into place more naturally the next day. Your brain is always adapting to your surroundings. By shaping those surroundings with intention, you take direct control of how well your mind and body function, moment by moment, day by day.